Please be seated. Good evening and welcome everyone to the council meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to deal with a number of major issues for the well-being of Torbay and best interests of the community. My role as Civic Mayor is to ensure that today's agenda is dealt with efficiently and to allow fairness throughout the discussions. As you are aware, the meeting is governed by strict procedures or standing orders. If members wish to make a point of order or personal explanation, I will consider on a case-by-case basis when I take these. If members wish to leave the meeting before it's finished, please follow Standing Order A25.7 and give your apologies before you leave via the Head of Governance Support. Please note that we are live streaming this meeting via the Council's YouTube channel to encourage more people to engage in our public meetings. The proceedings of the Council meeting will also be recorded. Please can attendees refrain from watching the live stream as this will cause interference for our viewers. We are not expecting a fire alarm testing today, and in the event of an evacuation, you will hear a recorded message requesting you to evacuate the building. Please leave by the nearest exit. The Riviera Centre staff will assist you. Once outside, please assemble in front of the tennis courts to the seaward side of the building. Please also ensure that all mobile phones and iPads are switched to silent, and I will call a break if the meeting is to go beyond 7 p.m. Apologies. Are there any apologies for absence, please?
Madam Mayor, apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Carter, Councillor Madison, Councillor Tranter, Councillor Atiala, and also had prior notification that Councillor Steve Darling will need to leave at 6:30 and Councillor Johns at 7:30 if the meeting's still continuing at that point. Otherwise, Madam Mayor, all members are present.
Thank you. I propose that the minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of February 2025 be signed as a correct record. Is there a seconder?
Madam Mayor, I approve the minutes for seconding. Thank you.
I will now take the vote. All those in favour? Unanimous? Unanimous, thank you. Have members any non-pecuniary or disclosable pecuniary interest in any of the matters on today's agenda? No. Thank you. I have no announcements to make. Has the Leader of the Council any announcements that he wishes to make?
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor, and I rise to inform the Council that approximately 2.5 hours, 3 hours ago, I did receive the letter from government that we have been expecting regarding local government reorganisation, and I will ensure that that is sent round in due course. It's about 15 pages, and I've only just read it at the moment, but it has arrived.
Thank you. I understand the Chief Executive has no announcements she wishes to make. I move to item 4, appointment of Overview and Scrutiny Co-ordinator and Scrutiny lead members. Can Councillor David Thomas please put his motion to the Council?
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor. This is very straightforward, and if I just move to the points in order, it's number 1, that Councillor Long be appointed as the Overview and Scrutiny Coordinator for the municipal year 25-26, and that the following councillors be appointed as the Overview and Scrutiny Leads Councillor Law, Overview and Scrutiny Lead for Children's Services, Councillor Johns, Overview and Scrutiny Lead for Adults, Community Services, Public Health and Inequalities, Councillor Douglas Dunbar, the Overview and Scrutiny Lead for Place Development, Economic Growth and Culture, and finally, and in no particular order, Councillor Cowell. Councillor Cowell, Overview and Scrutiny Lead for Housing, Finance, Corporate and Place-Based Services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Rice a second and leave it at that. Thank you.
Before I open debate, I can confirm that in accordance with the Standing Order A1.2, brackets 1x, bracket, that Councillor Long, Cowell, Douglas Dunbar, Councillor Johns and Law have given their consent for nominations. I now invite debate. No debate. Councillor Thomas, you're right to reply.
I'm quite happy to move to the vote. Thank you.
I move to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. I move to item 5, appointments to council committees, working parties and appointment of committee chairwoman, chairman, vice-chairman and vice-chairwoman for 2025/2026. Please refer to page 17 and revised Appendix 3 and 4 circulated on the 14th of May 2025. Can Councillor David Thomas please put his motion to the council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that this one is also straightforward this evening. This is the piece of work for the annual appointments. All the names are in the appendices, which I do not intend to read out. The recommendations are there in front of us, 1 to 8. Most of the members are continuing in their various roles that they've had for the last year. There's some small changes, but they're all in the document. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Rice a second and leave the debate at that from my point of view. Thank you.
Before I open debate, I can confirm that in accordance with the Standing Order A1.2, those councillors nominated for the chair and vice-chair positions have given their consent for their nominations. I now invite debate. As there's no debate, I go back to Councillor Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Nothing further to say. However, that I confirm that the council group representatives for each of the bodies are as set out in Appendix 3 to the report as circulated on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I now go to the vote. All those in favour?
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous. Thank you. Can the leader of the Liberal Democrat group please provide the names of his group's representatives to serve on each of the bodies in the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that the Liberal Democrat group members are set out in Appendix 3 as circulated with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Can the leader of the independent group please provide the names of his group representatives to serve on each of the bodies of the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm the independent group representatives of each of the bodies are as set out in revised Appendix 3 to the report as circulated with the agenda.
Thank you. I now move to item 6, composition and constitution of the Cabinet and record of delegations of executive functions. Please refer to page 51 and revised papers circulated on the 14th of May 2025. This item is for noting and no vote is necessary. I move to item 7, Overview and Scrutiny Annual Report 2024-2025. Please refer to page 55. Would Councillor Long please present the report?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and I rise to present this report. And due to the issues on the council, there have been a number of chairs of this committee, and I would like to thank all of them for their hard work and input into that. I would also like to publicly thank Teresa Buckley for all her hard work in supporting this committee. It is much appreciated, and after the recent training, it's become clear that it is indeed Teresa who is in charge of that committee. I would also like to thank all the officers who have come before Overview and Scrutiny to present reports and sometimes had to wait patiently on uncomfortable chairs for their item to be discussed. There have been some really useful discussions on Overview and Scrutiny this year. The items on domestic abuse services spring to mind as a good example. And I'm also pleased that all the recommendations to Cabinet for the budget were agreed as well. That was really positive, thank you. And just finally, the work that the committee has done over quite a long period of time, which continues on South West Water, I know has been recognised nationally as an exemplar of how to do such a spotlight review. So I think that's a credit to everyone in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Long. This item is for noting and no vote is necessary. I move to item 8, Audit Committee Annual Report 24-25. Please refer to page 73. Or would Councillor Penny please present his report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And it's a pleasure to present. This is the first such Audit Committee Annual Report to come to full council. It is all set out, I think, very, very clearly in the actual report as to why it is, and a whole series of what we are actually doing to discharge our function, which we bring back to you. At this stage, I would like to recognise the contribution as the chair made by Councillor Brooke during the majority of this year. Also to committee members. Some members of the committee in 2023, at the start of the life of this particular council, were new to this committee and indeed new to being councillor. Hence, importance here of training, which you'll find on item number 12, training and development. And after a year and a half, we took the earliest opportunity of a self-assessment exercise for ourselves to ensure that we, as the audit committee, were contributing properly and constructively to the overall assurance, which is our job and our duty. And that is what we are doing, and we will be considering it at the next committee meeting, which I think is about 10, 11 days' time, and we will move it forward. Just to demonstrate to everybody else, the audit committee does what we are asking you to do. Improve. This is a high-level report. It's the iceberg. All you see is that. There's a tremendous amount of work underneath. You read the report, you can see the coverage we have. Absolutely amazing, right across the board, which is why I find audit so interesting. I can look through the entire council's work for various purposes. At this high level, we can say that the council stands in reasonably good stead. That is not suggesting perfection in any shape or form. I will give an example. Risk management. This runs on the RAG, the red, amber and green, as I'm sure you are aware. Is everything green? No, it's not. We have amber, we have red. But the point is that these risks have been recognised, are increasingly addressed. And we are recognising, as a council, that tapping away at the risk management table every month and then putting it to one side is not the way to use the table at all. The table is a living, not a static document. And the whole object of the exercise is to encourage structured professional thought. How well are we doing, etc., etc., but structured. And that's what we are doing, including increasingly important in this day and age, horizon watching. Yes, we can create risks within ourselves, of course, but often in this day and age, risks come from outside, beyond our control, and it can happen very quickly, as we find out these days. And then it all changes, the government changes, this does, this, that, whatever. And that needs careful watching, and we do. So it is a live and living document. There is only one thing I need to bring to your attention, I think, and it's a fairly obvious one for all of you who have read this. It is on page 1 of the report, and it is the second bullet point about the disclaimer opinion issued by the external auditor. Under normal circumstances, a disclaimer opinion would cause much consternation. In this case, it causes a slight tremble. That's all, shall we say. No more than that. Why? This is not Torbay specific. It's a national issue. It's national, I say national. England and Wales local authority issue. Over a period of years, particularly since 2018, the opinions have been delivered later.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Oh dear, alas. In which case I must move on very swiftly. There's no worries. Don't get overly worked up about it. Very important, please. And there's a reform that we were having a new local audit body to establish so that it will not recur again.
Thank you, Councillor Penny.
Okay, I would just like to thank you, Madam Mayor, on behalf of Councillor Brooke, committee members and myself, and commend this first annual report to Council for noting. Thank you.
Thank you. This item is for noting and no vote is necessary. I move to item 9, formation of a social housing delivery programme for Torbay and associated financing proposal. Please refer to page 89 and revised report published 14th of May 2025. Can Councillor Tyman please put the Cabinet's motion to the Council, please?
Thank you. And may I add my congratulations to the many that have already been given today to you in being elected to the post of Civil Mayor for Torbay for the current year. The request of Council to this afternoon, tonight, in regard to this paper is fairly simple. We are seeking approval for £20 million of prudential borrowing on terms acceptable to the Finance Director to part fund a number of ongoing schemes to deliver socially rented housing in Torbay. The paper that was discussed by Cabinet on Tuesday covered how the whole scheme would operate. The only section that actually we have to vote on tonight is the funding. And if I may just add a little bit to explain why we want to do that, rather than wait to fund individual schemes, it's to give the certainty to all of us as members and to our officers of where we're going, because to achieve the objectives that Cabinet have adopted here of delivering 75 units per year will need us to increase resource across the council, increase capacity to provide that. We need therefore the certainty going forward that council will support through prudential borrowing funding in an appropriate manner to individual schemes that come forward. The economics of providing housing in Torbay remain sometimes difficult. Individual sites vary considerably in terms of the viability of producing schemes. And we're very fortunate here to have managed to acquire over the last year two amounts of grant funding that will allow us to plug what would otherwise be viability gaps on difficult to deliver sites. And that's what we're aiming to do here. We're not looking at doing the easy sites. We're looking at doing ones that are more difficult to achieve and bring forward. We've set ourselves, we believe in Cabinet, a fairly ambitious target. It's going to need us pulling a lot of strings across different parts of the council to make that happen. But I believe it's absolutely right that we should have that level of ambition and not just be content with a soft target that we could easily meet. So I have no illusions that this is going to be difficult to achieve. And I also have no illusions that achieving it is not entirely within our own hands. We have to maintain the support of Homes England to provide funding into these. I have no reason to believe that support won't be there from our discussions with Homes England, but in a sense, government need to continue to put the funding where they say they're going to put it in order to achieve this. So I'm just saying it's not entirely in our own hands that we'll be able to do this and achieve 75 per year going forward, but we all need to work hard, offices need to work hard to maintain those relationships with Homes England, and I hope that our MPs, and I'm sure our MPs, will work hard in doing what they can to foster those sorts of relationships. So I think it's something that we all need across the chamber to put our minds to doing to try and achieve this target going forward. So very simply, tonight, I want your support to say that we will fund as a council the £20 million of funding that we need to support schemes over the next 2 to 3 years, and to just give you an idea on what we've looked at so far on the schemes that are on the books and already being progressed.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Thank you. £20 million should produce something in the region of 200 units of accommodation. A very rough guide, the amount of money that will be supported, or borrowing that can be supported by the rent from an individual unit, is round about £100,000, give or take a bit, depending upon whether on interest rates and other factors. So thank you. That's my proposal tonight.
Thank you, Councillor Simon. Is there a seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I rise to second and I will speak now. But firstly, my apologies for missing your mayor-making ceremony this morning, but I wish you the very best for the coming 12 months. The past administration started the emphasis on rebuilding our housing capability within the council, because previously it had been so badly fragmented. And Councillor Timon refers to the relationship of Homes England. I think it's fair to say that in 2019 there was little or no relationship or serious relationship with that extremely important body. As part of our commitment in the previous administration, we did borrow the 10 million to deliver over 30 units and homes for supporting temporary accommodation. I believe that this proposal builds on that, because we need to have the stock available. And what's positive about this is that it is for social rent, where we are critically short of that capacity in Torbay. The other element, of course, if we're delivering circa 200 homes, that helps to contribute towards the local plan requirements that we're currently working on through the local plan working party. It's a tough target, but with a brownfield first approach, this £20 million will help deliver homes on those brownfield sites. And of course, we can't forget that as part of the combined authority with Devon, housing is a key priority. So it would be daft if we, as an authority, weren't developing such initiatives to actually move housing forward, funded by the various grants and prudential borrowing necessary to get this across the line. So I'm more than happy to second this proposal, and I'm pleased to hear that we will be increasing the capacity. I congratulate Sam Irvine on the work that he's been doing since he joined the authority, and look forward to continuing to work with Councillor Timon cross-party to get this over the line. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Cowell. I now invite debate. Councillor Chris Lewis.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor, and I'd better fall in line and congratulate you on being made. It may make life easier this evening. So congratulations to you, Councillor Lewis, on being made the Civic Mayor of Torbay. Well done. I would like to also support this motion of borrowing the £20 million. Part of the scheme was called Hotels to Homes, which Councillor Timon has brought forward and is taking forward. It's not only hotels to homes, but it's also, it could be rundown care homes, churches that need developing, those difficult ones where other people can't afford to regenerate them, but with the help of other funds, we may be able to do so. Councillor Cowell said, and we've been working very hard in the working party for the local plan, how important it is to build on brownfield sites first. Every house that we build on a brownfield site means we don't have to build it in our green and pleasant land, the pastures of Torbay, which we will find it extremely difficult to build the target of the government of 940 homes in a year. So it may not sound a lot, but every house is important to be built on the brownfield sites. We'll also, I believe, improve the street scene, because when we looked at the tourist area recently and we did a site visit, there are a number of hotels that do look derelict and need improving, and it is very difficult to do that. The private sector on the small to medium-sized hotels here in the Bay, and they've been run down for a number of years, and this is where, with the officers' help, we may be able to improve them and create the houses that are desperately needed for those most in need. So I think it's a win-win situation. More homes for those most in need in the Bay, a better street scene, which is all important as we're doing the work on the Pavilion, Debenhams, Union Square and others, that sometimes it's forgotten about the little bit in the middle that needs to be done. So I think the street scene will improve. And as I've just said, most importantly, it means for every house that we build on the brownfield site is one less we have to build on the greenfield site. So welcome this motion, and I hope we get full support cross-party. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Long.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and the Liberal Democrat Group will indeed be supporting this item before us this evening, and it is a good use of hotels, for example, that are no longer in use, and I hear what Councillor Lewis says about other buildings as well. There may, though, be more hotels available when and if the new hotel on the harbour side comes into being and drives independent, good quality guest houses out of business. I agree with Councillor Lewis about brownfield sites, and that should be our priority for new homes. And it's a pity that the site down the harbour side is being used potentially for a hotel when it could be used for homes and, as he says, ease the pressure on our green and pleasant land. My one slight, this scheme is absolutely fine and we will be supporting it. However, compared to the need on the waiting list, the council does need to absolutely be maximising the use of its assets for social rent housing. For example, Preston Down Road has gone very, very quiet, and of course we know that the previous administration were planning to maximise affordable housing on that site. And in terms of so brownfield sites, there is fewer homes being proposed for Union Square, for example, than was originally envisaged, and we could be, and because of that, more homes could be being built on the green belt than absolutely has to be. The other thing I'm concerned about is we have lost our housing board, and that was really important in terms of working with housing associations and improving our relationship there, which I fear has been damaged after the Preston Down Road debacle. So it would be useful perhaps to hear, as in the summing up of this item, how we're using this initiative to improve our relations with housing associations going forward to absolutely drive the social rent homes that we so sorely need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Long. Councillor Steve Darling.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor, and may I congratulate you on your appointment. You're not Deputy Mayor, are you? I'm so used to ladies being deputies in the place I normally get up and speak, but hopefully Jenny's not crossing the chamber here today. Congratulations, Councillor Barbara Lewis, in your appointment today. I'm sure you will make a great mayor for the next 12 months. I would echo what Councillor Long has already alluded to as far as the loss of the board, if Councillor Timon can give us some assurance in that, and also the burning of the bridges with Live West, where corporately we've led them down a garden path as far as what we were hoping to achieve out of Preston Down Road. I'm sure that there would have been houses being built at the moment on that site there, helping with desperate need. And talking of desperate need, I know that from my own activities as the Member of Parliament for Torbay is that the highest issue that I get casework through is actually housing. So clearly, I'm sure colleagues will all be supporting this. And when people are in a really tough place and they're getting upset at surgeries and they're between the devil and the deep blue sea, it is often around the lack of housing or the poor quality housing that they're having to endure or their children are having to endure. So this is extremely welcome. We just need to go harder and faster with this. And I can assure colleagues that only this week, when there was discussion of the new compact that had come from the Mansion House, where there was investment in private opportunities within the United Kingdom, I didn't just highlight the desperate need of ensuring that we could use this to regenerate our town centres, but the other area I focused on was ensuring that we can drive social rented housing, because we know places, people like L&G in the pension sector often drive through private rented accommodation. What we need to do collectively, and I have done this up in Westminster, is ensure that the government give a clear way forward, and the spending review is due on the 11th of June. I hope the government will give us a more confidence to the housing sector, particularly social rented housing, because I fear they've just been treading water since last July. Thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. If there's no more debate, I move back to Councillor Timon for his right to reply.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to pick up on one or two of the points raised. I absolutely agree with Councillor Darling regarding the government and needing to encourage them to put more emphasis on social housing. I think there is quite a bit of emphasis there, but I also say that the headline rhetoric that comes forward is more about total housing numbers, and I think that needs to be better balanced. And I think that's particularly relevant for places like Torbay, where we see that actually not very heavy demand at the moment for market housing, but we still see very high demand for affordable and socially rented housing. So it's certainly important, Torbay, that rhetoric from central government isn't meeting our need. and I can't argue or speak for other parts of the country. We are all different. We have to look after ourselves here in Torbay. If I pick up on another things, just in terms of relationships with registered providers, I don't feel too much hesitation that we are continuing to do that. I meet with online meetings with officers, with our main registered providers in Torbay on a regular basis. I think those meetings are productive. I think in lots of ways one gains more from one-to-one discussions with them than a large number of people in a room. And I think I will try and build on that. It was also specifically mentioned the situation with Live West. And all I can say on that is, yes, I think what happened on Preston Down Road may have given a temporary negative response in our direction from Live West, but I've had 2 or 3 discussions with senior management, with Gareth in Live West since, and I think we're building the bridges, and I think that we've gone a long way already to repair that relationship. And I'm pleased to see that they're providing of the affordable housing in the site out at Collerton St Mary. So they're certainly being active in Torbay, and I think that we can build on that. So I think I was asked, how does this particular scheme help with the relationship with registered providers? I think it probably doesn't do a lot to do that. I think it's an important strand of what the housing team and myself in supporting them need to do. We are doing that alongside this. And I think that it's also important to note that we're not the only people out there taking brownfield sites, converting hotels and changing them into housing. I think there's a presentation coming up on one shortly to all members. But if we do it, we can end up with 100% social housing at the right price. If the market does the equivalent, and it can do the equivalent, we end up with market housing, which doesn't actually meet the same need. So unashamedly, we will work alongside. Unashamedly, we will do things that perhaps might have been able to happen by the private sector, but we end up with a different product, and one that I think is the product that is needed in Torbay, rather than the one that other developers want themselves to provide in Torbay. So I think this is absolutely the right thing to do. I've already heard that you're in support of that. Yes, I understand other issues. We need to drive forward housing, social housing, in other ways alongside this movement. And I'm particularly looking at things like the Union Square to see how we can get the best out of that we can. That's an ongoing thing. None of that interferes with what we're talking about tonight. It will run parallel with it, but I do need to make sure.
Remaining.
I do need to also make sure along the route that what goes on here doesn't block some of the bigger schemes from getting the attention they need at the same time. It is a balance, but we need to do both.
Thank you, Councillor Timon. I now move to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. Sorry, I move to item 10, Brokenbury Solar Farm. Please refer to page 103 and Cabinet Record of Decisions circulated on the 15th of May 2025. In the light of the Cabinet's decision, this item has been withdrawn. I move to item 11, Torbay Inclusion Strategy. Please refer to page 115. Can Councillor David Thomas please put the Cabinet's motion to the Council?
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Mayor. And we certainly know in this chamber that inequality exists across the Bay. And the life chances between residents vary greatly. Depends on which part of which particular ward you may live in. Torbay is one of the most deprived local authority areas in England. And we must do all we can to try and remedy this to ensure that people have equal life chances. For us, embedding the inclusion into council activity is key to achieving this. The inclusion strategy aims to support the council to embed inclusion across the organisation, and it also includes refreshed equality objectives. So the paper in front of you this evening incorporates feedback from the consultation on the strategy, which took place earlier this year, and also feedback from the Overview and Scrutiny Board, which Cabinet considered. These items are included as separate papers within the pack for your reference. So the Torbay Inclusion Strategy has been written to make sure that the Council is at a place where everyone is treated fairly. It will support the Council to meet its legal obligations under the Equality Act to promote equality and challenge discrimination. It will also contribute to delivering the Council's corporate plan. The inclusion strategy sets out the approach that the Council will take to promote inclusion and also includes refreshed draft equality objectives. I think it's also worth mentioning that this follows on the back of the racism review, which looked at how the Council can help make Torbay a welcoming place for people from all backgrounds, including minoritized ethnic backgrounds. The inclusion strategy takes a wider approach to inclusion and aims to promote equality for everyone. It links across council departments and work streams. I encourage all members this evening to support the approval of this important document. The recommendations are written before you, and number 1 and 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Is there a seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. May I take this opportunity firstly to congratulate you on your new position and wish you all the very best for this coming year. And it gives me great pleasure to second our inclusion strategy. Obviously, there's been a lot of negative things said recently about equality, diversity and inclusion. But as we heard this morning, discrimination is still a real everyday experience for many people in our communities. As Councillor Thomas has outlined, this strategy is to formulate Torbay's Council's policy of being a working place that strives to be inclusive and non-discriminatory. Being an idealist, I dream of a world where such a policy is simply second nature to us all. But until such a day, I welcome this policy and its clear guidance on being inclusive, tolerant and therefore a kind council. As Lib Dems, we will of course be supporting this tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. I now invite debate. Councillor Long.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And as Councillor Douglas Dunbar said, we will absolutely be supporting this report tonight. It's a shame that Councillor Tranter can't be here this evening, because I would like to have congratulated her directly on bringing forward such a good report. But it's good to see Councillor Thomas standing in for her as usual. As was alluded to earlier, there is a slight irony in this item being discussed at the same meeting as the other unpleasantness earlier, but we'll move past that. At Cabinet, I mentioned about the equality impacts assessments and how I thought it was slightly odd that it mentions no differential impact when I thought it could have been more positive than that there was a positive impact. But I understand from the Director Matthew Fairclough-Kay that there are technical reasons why that can't be the case, so that's why it's written as it is. So, it is correct as it stands. Thank you.
If there's no further debate, Councillor Thomas, you're right to reply.
Thank you very much indeed. No need to pick up on the quality impact assessment, the responses there. And certainly, I would also like to thank Councillor Chanter for the work that she's actually personally put into this, unfortunately not able to join us this evening, therefore stepping into her shoes, but absolutely not taking the credit for the work that she has put in. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I now move to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you.
Councillor Darling, Steve Darling, we thought you had your hand up, but it was indicate you did. Okay, thank you very much.
Right. I move to item 12, Standing Order D11, in relation to overview and scrutiny, call-in and urgency. Please refer to page 159. This item is for noting and no vote is necessary. Thank you, members, for your attendance today. I now close the meeting.